Thank you so much for everyone that is joining us this evening. We are 13 weeks out from an amazing experience that we are all looking forward to as the family of Rotary, where we gather together once a year in our Rotary International Convention. And we have an extraordinary lineup from people who have not only planned and have oversight, but many of them have visited on the ground many times in Calgary. And we want you to have the most up-to-date information so that when you leave here tonight, hopefully you can plan any of the rest of your itinerary. So I join you this evening in my role as the one of the co-chairs of the promotion group that has joined together. There are 34 of us that have joined an amazing team. And my name is Past District Governor Dawn Rochelle. I'm out of District 7730, and I have the honor of serving those districts and clubs in Zone 34. And I'll turn it to you, Renee.
Yahoo! I'm Renee Laws, and I'm working with Dawn Rochelle. She has been an incredible mentor through this for me. And I am representing Zone 33 as the Calgary Promotions Chair. And I would love to introduce to you, if you wouldn't mind. Let's see.
First, we're going to make sure they
Oh,
know.
right. Let me hand it back to Dawn.
Yeah, there's going to be a really important, well, there's a really important deadline coming up.
Right,
and of course, that's
right.
one of the things that we want you to take away from this is that we really only have a few more hours before April 1st, if we can all believe that. And that means that there is going to be another price jump. So if you know people that is like, I've been thinking about it, well, message them while you're on the call because we really want them to go ahead and get registered so they can experience Calgary with us. Or if they've registered and maybe haven't paid yet, now would be a time to do that so that they get the best deal possible that is available to them now. So with that, we are going to hear some exciting details of everything that is happening in Calgary for us that is going to make it the best Rotary International Convention ever. So Renee, would you please introduce our first guest?
I sure will. I'm happy to introduce past Rotary International Director, Brendan Stiles, who is the 2025 International Convention Committee Chair. And he comes from the Rotary Club in Ontario, Canada. I don't want to pronounce it incorrectly. Barry Haronia?
Barry Huronia.
Barry Haronia. Okay. So
Well
sir,
done, Renee.
yeah, thank you for being here. Let me brag about you just for a moment before I turn it over because you've got quite the sheet here. You've served Rotary in a variety of capacities, including director, but you've also been a Rotary Foundation trustee. You were aide to RI President Shekhar Mehta from 2021-2022. Past chair of the Rotary Peace Centers, that's one of my passions, and you have a passion for the peace programs. You've also been recognized with numerous awards, including Citation for Meritorious Service, Service Above Self, and the Rotary Foundation Distinguished Service Award. Thank you for everything that you've done, you and your wife, Randy, and you're the proud parents of 2 children and 5 grandchildren. So you're extremely busy. Thank you for taking so much time to be with us today. Brendan Stiles.
Oh, thank you very much, Renee. And it is a pleasure to be here. I'm just looking through the names of where people are coming from, and it's wonderful all around the U.S., Southwest U.S., Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, some of my favorite spots in the U.S. to go golfing and what have you, lose some golf balls and have some fun. So it's really great to be here. As Renee mentioned, I'm the chair of the convention, so I'm going to go through some of the convention information, and then I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Mark Sterrett, who's the chair of the host organizing committee, and he'll go through some more information about Calgary itself, which is a very exciting city. For those that have been to a convention before, you know the excitement of a convention. You come to a convention to get re-energized, recharge those rotary batteries. Sometimes they get a little worn down, and you come to a convention and you just get so excited again. And we're going to do that this year. we're going to have speakers, wonderful speakers we have lined up. We have some already on the website. David Lamotte, who's an entertainer, a speaker, and a Rotary Peace Fellow. So he will be an exciting speaker to hear. We have a Rotary, or pardon me, we have a Nobel Peace Laureate who's coming to speak and will be exciting. We have several speakers who have committed but not signed the dotted line on the contract. And so, and I see Director Patrick smiling. We can't announce those until we get their actual signature on the contract. So we know they're coming, but as soon as we get that signature, we'll be posting them to the website as well. The speakers who are coming are going to do what they're supposed to do. They're going to educate you. They're going to inform you, and they're going to challenge you on some of your thought processes. And then your job after you've been at the convention is to take that information back to your clubs and districts and tell them what you heard, because that's how Rotary grows. The other things we have at the convention are our breakout sessions. And over the years, those have become more and more popular. We had a record number of applications for breakouts. We had over 360 applications for breakouts, of which we had to choose 70. So you know you're going to get the creme de la creme. You're going to get the best of the best on the breakouts from a wide range of topics. The traditional Rotary topics of membership, foundation, etc. But because we're in Canada, we're going to hear about Indigenous issues and how we deal with them, not just in Canada, but around the world. We'll have people involved in the breakouts from Indigenous leaders from Brazil, New Zealand, etc. So exciting breakout sessions. The Rotary, the convention site itself is what we call on one campus, easily walkable. Once you get to the campus, everything is close. The general sessions, excuse me, the BMO Center. Now, we call it the BMO Center because being in Canada and being like Rotarians, we like acronyms. BMO stands for Bank of Montreal. But Bank of Montreal helped to support this center, and they just finished it last year, and it is absolutely stunning. From some of the rooms in the BMO Center, if it's a clear day, you'll have a view of the Rocky Mountains. So I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. The House of Friendship, and I know Mark is going to talk about this in a few moments. We have an exciting House of Friendship, and that is one of the highlights of the convention, where you get to meet people from around the world and become instant friends. The neat thing about it, I always enjoy, is that everyone's wearing a name badge. You immediately know who you're talking to and where they're from, and you form that instant connection in our House of Friendship. This is the last convention that will be held in the continental US or continental North America until 2028, when the convention will be held in Minneapolis. So I urge you to come. It's going to be exciting. The site is wonderful. The city is wonderful, and Mark's going to talk about that. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to Mark Sterrett, a good friend of mine. Mark Sterrett is a past district governor in 2008. At that time, I believe, Mark, you were the youngest district governor in the world. I believe that was at that time. Mark and I have been good friends for about 20 years. He's involved, not like many of us. Mark is not only involved in Rotary, he's involved in his community. And so he knows Calgary, and he knows the people to talk to get things done. So Mark, without further ado, I will turn it over to you to tell them about Calgary and what's going to happen.
Bryn, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be on with you. And I remember to this day the phone call that you made right after now President Stephanie rang you and invited you to be the convention chair. And you phoned me right away how excited you were to be the convention chair for a Canadian convention, And so happy my co-chair Craig and I were to know somebody that we knew so well, that was a fellow Canadian, that was going to help be with us on this journey. Let's start with a little bit of math before I get into the Calgary, because there's so many international and our American friends on this. It's really a good investment to come to Calgary. Right now, the US dollar is exchanging into $1.43, $1.44 Canadian. And so once you've registered, once you've gotten your plane ticket from wherever you're coming from, as soon as you get to Calgary, everything from the hotel and the taxis and the restaurants that you'll visit, all going to be in Canadian dollars, where you can multiply your US dollar or foreign currencies by a wonderful amount to make it end shopping. The ability to go to some of our shopping centers and spend some money and get some really great deals and bargains. Calgary, you're already here. And what I mean by that is that Calgary is a rich community of Rotary involvement. One of the two biggest things that we have over the 100 years that we've been in our district, Rotary's been in our district, we have the Rotary Mattamy Greenway, which is the longest urban pathway in the world, biking and walking trails over 138 kilometers, with a Rotary monolith after every kilometer mark, thanking Rotary for their involvement, thanking the Mattamy Corporation for their involvement. And all the clubs in Calgary came together about a decade ago to support Rotary Challenger Park, which is an inclusive space for all ages and abilities, barrier-free access, just some wonderful things that are happening in Calgary, and just two examples of where Rotary in Calgary came alive and together to support and give back to our community. Once you come to Calgary, you're not going to be a visitor. You're going to be welcomed with open arms. We often say it's where the Wild West meets contemporary Canada. We're still so proud of our Western roots, and those of you that were here in 1996, at the last time Calgary hosted the Rotary Convention, you knew about our Western hospitality, you knew about our home hospitality and the volunteer spirit. My goodness, you're going to appreciate that once you come to Calgary again. But we are more diversified, and our city has changed since '96. The vibrant arts community, the world-class culinary cuisine, culinary experiences that you'll have. We are a multicultural, very advanced city now. Calgary, don't take us for granted, or don't take us saying it, but Condé Nast Traveler has named us the world's friendliest city. In addition to being one of the most sustainable travel destinations, in having a light rail transit sea train system that runs on 100% wind power. And as I was talking about the diversity before, we're the home of 240 ethnic origins and more than 250 languages spoken in Calgary. So no matter where you're from, our friends to the south, we speak American up here as well, and a whole bunch of other languages from around the world that we would love to welcome you to. Calgary is a safe and clean community, okay? And not only am I saying that you would normally experience it, but it's even going to be more so because the week before Calgary welcomes Rotarians in the world, the G7 is happening. And so when it comes to all of our world leaders and 6,000, I believe, security and press that are going to be coming a week before, our city is getting clean. Our city is going to have a presence of security and safety that will make all of our international delegates just feel so comfortable. From a weather point of view, it's going to be about 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 degrees Celsius. Calgary is known for the sunniest city in Canada, with more sunshine days than any other city in Canada. And as I mentioned before, the exchange rates are going to be great. Reading a quick text from the chat, banks are a good way, but you also get a fair exchange at stores where you're not gouged by a big amount if you're doing that right at the point of sale. Lots of different things, Calgary being your base camp to adventure. We have Indigenous experiences, arts and culture, an urban downtown environment that's going to be decorated and entertainment happening. It doesn't matter where you're staying throughout the city. One of the legacies that we've said now for more than 7 years is that one of the things that we wanted to accomplish with the Calgary Convention was, from the moment that you land on your airplane, you will know you're welcome as a Rotarian in Calgary. For those of you that aren't coming by airplane, I feel a little bit sorry for you. And the reason that I say that is because the people coming in through our international airport, what we have waiting for you, and some of you have been to other conventions and it's nice and they have nice signage. We're going to wow you at our airport, and that's going to be our first impression to you. And then by the time you get into your taxi or get to your hotel, everybody's going to know that Rotary's in town. We're going the extra step so that people know what Rotary is and that it's a big deal of all of you folks coming to visit us. My goodness, we're not that far away. In less than 88 days now to the convention. And what I thought I would do very briefly is to go through the website itself. And so hopefully everybody continues to see my screen. The first thing that I'll say is, on that home page, please put in your name and email address, because if you want ongoing updates of new and special discounts and announcements that are being made about signature events, there's one signature event that we haven't even told anybody about yet. That's free, which is a nice price, and that's free in Canadian and US dollars. But the reality is that this is the best way to keep updated in terms of all the stuff that your local host organizing committee is doing. Along the top, lots of things that will direct you directly to the convention website, the Rotary.org convention website, in terms of registering if you've still not done that, or your accommodations and things like that. When you go over to the I'm looking for fun tab, this is where you get our 4 signature events, starting with the one on Saturday night in terms of the Grandstand Spectacular. And what I'd love to do is just take one quick minute and show you this video, because this is a new video, and every component part is something that you'd actually be seeing on the Saturday night at the Grandstand Spectacular.
As the summer sun begins its slow descent in the western sky, the lights begin to shine on the western stage. This is one unforgettable night filled with excitement, entertainment, and showmanship. A marching band, Indian hoop dancing, relay races, and world-class country music. The Grandstand Evening Spectacular, Saturday, June 21st, at the Rotary International Convention, Calgary, 2025.
Trust me when I say that we have a wonderful Grandstand Spectacular. There'll be between 5,000 and 10,000 people there. Ticket sales, while I don't want to say wait until the last minute, you could wait until the last minute, because there will always be a seat for you. But there will be hoop dancing, Indian relay races, and yes, that's what they're called. And it's language is important to us in Canada, and so we're talking about our Indigenous pavilion and our First Nations population. But Indigenous hoop dancing and Indigenous relay races is how they want it to be identified. So we're respecting that. But there will be fireworks, marching bands, world-class entertainment, in addition to those, that Indigenous culture. Then on Sunday, there are 2 events happening. And so both of them will be after your wonderful event that we'll talk about in a little bit later. One is Rockin' the Big 4 Roadhouse, which is right on campus, literally probably 50 steps away from the House of Friendship. And that is going to be highlighting a 2-hour performance, a full evening of libations, but also the history of Canadian music, from Paul Anka, who created the theme show for The Tonight Show, all the way through to Justin Bieber in present day. We've seen this. They're world-class entertainers, but just the eclectic music and the different genres of music, all by Canadian artists. And to flip that on the edge, 7 C train spots away from our downtown campus at the largest event center, the Jubilee Auditorium for Performing Arts in Calgary, where we're going to be having New Blood along with the Calgary Civic Symphony. New Blood is an Indigenous drama about a residential school experience, music by Peter Gabriel, and our wonderful Calgary Civic Orchestra with all the music. Then we go into one of the things that we were known for in 1996 that we're repeating again this year, and that's our home hospitality evening. Okay, a wonderful evening. I think we have over 2,100 people already registered. We're going to be opening up homes. We're going to have buses going out to the Rocky Mountains and Canmore, 45 minutes away, to be have wonderful entertainment and food experience with the Rotary Club out there, but also small groups, people opening up their homes, just a wild variety of things on that day. And then culminating with our last signature event, which is the Western Rank Showcase, which is at the Nutrient Center, which is a very intimate 2,500 seat little rodeo arena where there's going to be trick riding and fun and frivolity and really Western culture that we're going to be highlighting there. Also on the website, everything that you could want to know about Calgary under the Alberta Bound tab, including our pre and post tours. If you haven't had a chance to do so yet, please go all the way down to book and view and book travel. There's lots of different opportunities here, from a day trip to I think the longest one's 12 days post-convention if you still want to hang around. Coupled with Indigenous tours that we've just added in the last 30 days, and vocational tours, where Rotary clubs in Southern Alberta and outside of Calgary and in Calgary are highlighting the wonderful vocations, agriculture and scientific achievement, universities, things like that in the Calgary area. One last thing that I'll mention before moving on is the sorry, that's on this one, is the going back to get a cowboy hat at the grandstand show. Okay, and whether it was in Singapore, where we had like 100 hats that our volunteers were wearing, everyone was the hottest ticket item. The same thing at the International Assembly in Orlando last year and this year. These are a hot commodity. You can buy them in advance on our website, $35 US. Pick them up at the House of Friendship when you arrive. So we're not getting involved in shipping them just so they can pack them in your suitcase. But I draw attention to this because this is going to be a special part of the grandstand show on Saturday night. We're going to have the largest ever white hat ceremony, the honorary welcome as an honorary Calgarian that night. And it'll be something that I think hopefully all the people in attendance will remember. Just moving on, we've already talked about it, just our little plug, March 31st, no bull, the price is increasing. The thing that I'll draw attention to is that there's still, for those 30 and under, still economical. Our Rotaractors, our young Rotarians that have never been to a convention, please come, as well as if you're bringing your family. Those between the age of 5 to 18, still very, very, very cheap. And we'll have a wonderful program for you integrated into the House of Friendship and things like that. And last plug, just to stay engaged, like on our website, you can go in and put your name and email address, and we'll be sure to send you all of the updates. I was going to end with a video, but I won't, because you can't hear the video because I'm wearing this headset. So with that, I'll stop sharing and turn it back over for the next part.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So we have a couple and we're doing great on time before we get to our Zone 33, 34 specific event. So want to take a moment to address a couple of questions that have been coming in and were in the chat. The first is if Bryn or Mark, if you could address where do people find the link to volunteer? If they would like to volunteer as a sergeant of arms or in any other capacity, where would they find that? I've seen it, but you probably have it at your fingertips.
Yeah, let me share my screen again. I apologize because that was one tab that I glossed over looking at.
Yeah.
So
So
you
here
can
we
see,
go.
so
The
we're back to the
Morenas.
website under
Yep.
I want to serve. So
Oh,
under I want to serve, there's the tab for volunteer. Let me go back to here. I'm sorry. Oh, how come I can't do that? Because I'm stressed out and
okay.
trying to do it quickly. So
So
it's
this
under
is
the volunteering, HOC volunteering that I can't click through to. But that allows you, Fareed Bedwani, who's our volunteer chair, would love to have you 4-hour shifts so that you can experience both volunteering and being part of the convention. Somebody asked a question in one of our last meetings. You actually get a free hat if you volunteer for 2 sessions. So if you invest 8 hours of the convention time, whether it's on a C-Train platform at one of our signature events or in the House of Friendship, there's an opportunity, please, to do that. And the shifts will be live. Lots of training, lots of choices of what you could do when you're available. Those shifts will come on at the end of April, first week of May, I'm told.
perfect. That's amazing. And so if we have people that have also registered for a booth in the House of Friendship, there was a person who has not heard yet. Do either of you know about when people could expect to hear on their area in the Friendship Hall?
I'll take that one, Don. They are a little behind in getting those acceptances out. I sent an email today to the staff about that. I understand, excuse me. It should be by the end of this week. You should get some kind of notification about your exhibit space, etc., in the House of Friendship if you've applied.
Wonderful. Thank you so
And,
much.
and if not, just email exhibit@rotary.org and ask the question.
Okay, so exhibit at Rotary.
Rotary.org, correct.
Okay, we're putting that in the chat as well. There was also a question about pickup at the airport and would there be transportation? We're getting another one here about being provided, and I'm guessing like in other conventions at the airport, we're going to have an amazing welcome and there's going to be direction to where Rotarians can pick up transportation, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so 2 answers to that. First of all, any convention delegate is going to, once they get their badge, gets free transit services throughout, whether it's our city buses or our light rail transit. So you'll be able to hop on and off no matter, depending on the hotel you're staying at or whatever the case, there will be a bus service to go downtown. In addition to that, there's both Uber at the airport and taxi service, and there's fixed pricing depending on what area of town you're going to. So outside of the doors, when for all the taxi stands, they'll actually have a list so that you know with full transparency, if you're staying in this area, it's going to cost you, and I think it's between $45 and $65 to get anywhere in the city, no matter where you're going.
Okay. And then the transport passes is what the question was about. Now, when I've traveled in different conventions, it's usually your Rotary badge, your
That's
convention
exactly what
badge.
it is, Don. Yes. So
Yeah.
as soon as you have, and you'll have a little bit of grace, not that there's going to be an active bylaw enforcement presence, but there is an opportunity, well, if you're not going down to the campus till the next morning or whatever to register and get your convention stuff, please don't worry about that. We've told them how the process works to get badges and things like that. And so they're very understanding of that. And I know our friends from Evanston have also communicated that to the city of Calgary folks.
Okay, wonderful. So continue to put these logistical questions in the chat. We're gonna move forward now to our Zone 33-34 amazing team. And I am honored, as always, to introduce our Rotary International Director from Zones 33-34, Patrick Eakes. And what I have always appreciated about Patrick is that he leads with service. And if you read his bio, he starts as, I'm a club member of, the Rotary Club of Crescent in Greensboro, North Carolina. And he has a heart of service, which many of us know has been recognized. Not only is he a Service Above Self Award recipient, he also is a Distinguished Service Award recipient, a citation for meritorious service. And one I think that Patrick would say is one of the best is that he's a part of the membership society in Rotary, which means that he continues to connect others to this incredible organization of ours. But I said I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that Patrick is actually quite the golfer, and he represents the golfing fellowship, and in fact has won one international and 4 national Rotary golf championships. So I'm hoping that he's going to share some courses that he plans to play while he's in Canada for other golfers. So without further ado, Director Patrick.
Thank you, Dawn, and thank you so much, Bryn and Mark, for getting us started. Everything that you have heard tonight is true. International conventions are such an incredible opportunity to connect with maybe longtime friends and certainly new friends. And I will tell you, all the way back to 2001, when I attended my first international convention in San Antonio, and I was raving about the experience, I heard over and over and over, yeah, well, you should have been in Calgary in 1996. I heard that over and over, and I've heard it since. It was how incredible that convention was, and I know that the game will only be upped this time. So I'm excited to attend my first convention in Calgary. As we've said, great opportunity for new friends to meet people from all over the world, but we do take time, 3 hours in this case, for all of our peeps from Zone 33 and 34 to have a chance to get together. Those of you who have been to past international conventions will know that we've had the Southland breakfast or the Southland Southland reception, we've called it when it's been an evening event. And that always made sense when the top of Zone 33 was in Virginia. But with 2 realignments, and we grew to Maryland, Delaware, Washington, D.C., and the western part of Pennsylvania, I just made the decision that if we're now touching Lake Erie, we're probably not all in the South anymore. So we are having the gathering this year, rebranded, still the same fun opportunity for all of us from Zones 33 and 34 to get together at least the one time. We looked very hard at the calendar in terms of placing the timing for this because there are so many great events. You have the general sessions, the breakouts, of course, the signature events, host hospitality night, just amazing opportunities to experience Calgary and the surrounding area. So we placed the gathering Sunday evening, which I believe is the 22nd, from 5 until 8 p.m. And so we picked that time knowing that the second general session will close at 5 o'clock. So if you go to, the second opening session, if you go to that opening session, say it takes you 15, 20 minutes to get over to where we'll meet, you still got 2.5 hours with your friends there. If you're going to a signature event that evening, they start at 7 p.m., arrive at 5, you've still got an hour and a half with your friends from Zones 33 and 34. We chose Hotel Arts, and I say we, I'm going to introduce the chair of the event to you in just a moment. He did such a masterful job of looking at potential sites and negotiating to get the prices where we wanted. So we're excited about going to Hotel Arts. It's a 15 to 20 minute walk from where the rest of the convention will be taking place, or it's a very short ride by taxi or by Uber. And if you're wondering, there is Uber in Canada, in Calgary. So we will feed you there, both liquids and solids, if you know what I mean. You can leave with just appetizers if you're headed out for dinner. that night. But if you want to make it a meal, you'll have plenty of appetizers to eat that'll sustain you through the evening. So like I said, we're happy about this opportunity to get together. It's $75 US. I will tell you that our recent conventions that have been a little bit further around the globe for us, we had no problem selling out 400 spots when we were in Melbourne. We had a huge turnout in Singapore for our breakfast. This year, we reserved a space that will hold 850 people. And that may sound ambitious to you, but we already have 516 who have registered, and we're 90 days out. So if you have not registered, if you've not bought your tickets, you will want to do that now to get that all squared away. So you've probably already heard more from me than you would like to. I'm going to turn it over to get a little bit more information from Lloyd Navarro, who is past district governor. He's a current assistant regional Rotary Foundation coordinator, and as I mentioned before, he is the chair of the gathering. So Lloyd, tell us a little bit more about the gathering.
Thank you very much, Director Patrick. I appreciate it. I'm going to tell you, I'm just about ready to just say, what are your questions? You seem to cover everything that I really do want to highlight, but I'm going to go a little bit more into detail. I'm absolutely delighted to talk to all this evening about the gathering. And so what I've done is, before I go forward, brand new, hot off the press, you'll see the QR code on this particular slide on the right-hand side, and that would take you directly to our registration site if you had not registered. So you will see that in future products that may be coming out in a promotion in the 90 days until we get sold out at the capped event of 850 people. If I can have the next slide, please. What I've done is I want to highlight what is happening here at the gathering, and in terms of the top 10 reasons not to miss the gathering. And so we'll go ahead and start with reason number 10, and then we'll finally get to reason number 1. That being fellowship, old and new. You heard Director Patrick talk about this, and it says the gathering is a chance to get reacquainted with familiar faces and connect with new friends. And at its core, fellowship truly is rooted in the unity of believers, and in our particular case, believers in Rotary. Its mission, its impact, its values, all these things that we share. I said, but the gathering is more than just hanging out and having fun. It is truly fellowship. Although these particular elements are very much desired, the gathering truly is you and I and all of us together. I said, as an example of the first impactful word in our organizational mission statement, and that is together. Moving on to number 9, a spacious venue. If you look up at the top right hand, if you can see that photo, I said, it's more than a large room. I would tell you that it is newly renovated. That picture is a photo of the Spectrum Ballroom of the Hotel Arts. It's 12,000 square feet in an L-shaped design with a capacity of 1,000. I said, we've capped it off at 850 so that we will all be able to participate and have conversations in comfort and freedom to mingle around. This recently renovated ballroom has been constructed with the watchwords of design-centric, innovative, stimulating, fashion-forward, extraordinary, captivating, and in order to stimulate a similar mindset in the events that occur in this ballroom. And that is exactly what we plan to do with the gathering. Reason number 8, support your team. To the 500 plus who have already registered for the gathering, we thank you. The event team, which there have been many, and I'm very proud to represent providing this presentation to you. The event team, from the venue selection to the contract negotiation to the registration development, opening and proceeding forward to event promotion and currently developing the program for June 22nd, Sunday evening. We all should take a pat on the back because it truly has been a great labor of love. I said, but what we're going to end up doing is providing you an enhanced environment for your magic all-around experience at our Zones is a signature event. Now, your event team asks you to share this insight and excitement with others that will be attending. To the others that are still on the fence, now, if you can go back to the other one, to the others still on the fence, committing your treasure to the gathering, it truly is not too late yet. I would tell you that, what are you waiting for? The event team asks you to join us. We welcome your support and presence to continue the success of making the gathering a premier event that complements what the Calgary Host Organization Committee friends have in store for us. Be all in for a great time. By the time we get to number one of this list, you should be convinced that $75 per person is a worthwhile investment in the experience and a wonderful bargain, particularly at the exchange rate that Mark had mentioned. Number 7, awesome atmosphere. I want to tell you, if you look at the bottom right-hand side, that's the Hotel Arts. It's hard to tell that it has its origins as a Holiday Inn. The venue website reads, and I quote, Hotel Arts has become a place where locals and tourists alike feel like they belong. This sense of belonging remains part of our everyday culture. Now apply this to the gathering. 850 strong from our zone's finest, from Pennsylvania, USA, down the East Coast to the nations of the Caribbean and the northern part of South America, each soaking in that sense of belonging at the gathering. I can't help but believe that Kismet or fate or destiny has brought the gathering to the Hotel Arts in Calgary. And if I could take a moment to create a little goodwill with my friend, RI Director Patrick Eakes, it was an absolute brilliant stroke of wisdom to not only change our zone's convention signature event moniker to the gathering, and then host it at a place that cultivates an atmosphere of belonging. You will want to witness the magic of Rotary. Let the atmosphere of belonging of the gathering envelop you, my friends. Now, let's move on to number 6. Exceptional cuisine and abundant drinks. If you look at the photos, I said number 6 is highlighted by the immutable law that if you feed them, they will come. If you give them a free drink, it will be a good deal. The gathering has contracted for 2 chef-attended stations, one featuring Alberta beef, the other highlighting pasta with cream and cheese sauces. There will be 3 static tables as well, one each of a Garden of Eden, complete with an array of vegetables. There will be a sweet Canada of dessert varieties, so a dessert table, and the catering staff signature grazing table that you see in the middle photo. There will be, and for beverages, there will be 4 conveniently located cash bars manned by dedicated bartenders and cashiers. So we hope to keep with this number of bar stations that are dedicatedly manned, that the wait times and line will be at a minimum. Alcoholic drinks will be $10 Canadian, and hard liquor will be a slightly more. And the non-alcoholic beverages will be at $4 Canadian. Since the gathering is reception style, the food will provide a suitable taste of Canadian cuisine to complement our conversations. However, should you desire a hearty meal, the Hotel Arts boasts 2 award-winning restaurants on the premises that you can make reservations after attending the gathering. Number 5. Fellowship and community. If you've ever been to a RI convention, you know that at some point you become totally awestruck. I think Bryn mentioned this. with the realization that Rotary is truly an international community. For some, this can be overwhelming if you think really too hard about it. Well, literally, your spirit influence goes from two outstretched arms lengths to halfway around the world when you have a Rotarian that is next to you from another country, another continent, or another region. And that is totally awesome. A gathering, though, is an opportunity to ground yourself with the familiar, dial down a little bit on the awesomeness to a community of people that you are acquainted with, our zones 33 and 34, and it could be a few hours of respite in a comfort zone, a time to recharge from the spectacular that Brandon Mark has shown and his compatriots have in store for us. And when the clock strikes 8, you'll be ready for the next magic all around that Calgary has to provide. Number 4, this reason is on you. You find your own reason why not to miss out on the gathering, and then stick with it. Maybe it's a fear of missing out. Perhaps it stems from observing traditions, like you heard Patrick, that since this is not your first RI convention, you go to our zones' signature event. Still yet, if it is your first convention, you want to experience all you possibly can. Whatever your reason, just ensure a hearty dose of fun and attitude comes along with it. Let's get down to the top 3 now. Number 3, meet motivating and inspiring leadership. Well, the gathering will be an opportunity where you can hear messages that engages your mind, appeals to the heart, resonates your soul to act. Invitations have already been extended to our Rotary leadership, President Stephanie Urchik, Trustee Chair Mark Maloney, President-elect Mario Cesar Martins de Camargo, and Secretary General John Hugo. We have not heard back yet from them because their respective support teams are trying to solidify their convention schedules, but we will and add them to our programs for a few moments for the evening. And if history is a predictor of VIP attendance, then these excitement-building leaders will show up at our gathering for you to engage as time allows. Number 2, convenience of time and proximity. And as Patrick really addressed this, but I do want to speak a little bit about it. The gathering event team worked very hard to get our Zone 33-34 signature event at the Hotel Arts for the purpose of convenience. We already talked a little bit about its amenities and its ballroom, restaurants, and culinary design. But early on in the process, we noted that the Hotel Arts is the closest venue that could hold a large gathering of like-minded people to enjoy themselves for a few hours. Look at the map on the right-hand side there. So you can see where the large circle is, where the Hotel Arts is located. It's a brief 11 to 14-minute walk to the BMO Center that was discussed, where the House of Friendship is located. And nearby is the Scotia Saddlebank Dome, where the general sessions will be held. If I heard correctly, someone said that the event that follows our particular gathering, a Rockin' the Roadhouse signature event, is just within 50 feet or 50 steps of the House of Friendships. If this is true, then once again, you could be at the gathering and then enjoy your time. And by 7 o'clock, when that Rockin' the Roadhouse event occurs, then you just literally have a 10 to 15-minute walk to attend that particular venue. As our Canadian hosts have told you, access to the events, either by foot or by public transportation, is relatively easy. And by design, Zone 33-34 is the gathering at Hotel Arts is no exception to this. Even with the busiest schedule, you should have no problem hitting all these type of events that are occurring, whether it's going from opening ceremonies at the second session to the gathering and then on to Rocking the Roadhouse event. And we do have a slight bonus. One of our team members, Renee Laws, she will be attending the Rocking the Roadhouse event. So she will be leading the pack to the event at the appropriate time. So you will not miss out on the fun if you're going to go to that particular event. And now to the number one event. The reason not to miss the gathering is we are better when together. Enough said. The only other thing that I will say I'll try end this on a personal note is that every RI convention that I have attended, I brought something tangible back to cherish besides the memories of the experience. From Melbourne, Australia in 2023, the last convention I went to, I brought back a genuine, authentic kangaroo leather squashy hat. And I truly look forward that in June, while at the Calgary and at the gathering, that I will be wearing and bringing home the iconic and symbolic Calgary Smith-built white hat Stetson. See you at the Zones gathering, where we truly are better when together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lloyd and Patrick. Any questions specific? We're having some registration pieces, but we have an expert with DACDB on our call with Terry Weaver. So we appreciate you, Terry.
Thank you for jumping in on the chat.
And so one of the things, and I may have missed it, Mark, but one of the things that I know that I have heard Mark say is that one of the things that happens to me with these events is I sign up too late and then all of the host events are gone. But if you sign up, I didn't hear the actual final date to sign up for one of the host events where you can have dinner with
There's also a follow-on question to what you're asking. Someone asked in the chat, if they are registering for that host event and there is a travel partner that they need to be paired with, how do we do that? So like, how can you track that? Is that possible? Two-part question for that.
Mark or Bren?
Well, typical Canadian, Mark bailed on me and left me with the question. I'm not really involved in the host organizing. I would suggest that you get in touch with the HOC if you have a guest you want to go with you, and let them know. I know the host hospitality is filling up and there will be a waiting list. So if people cancel, you will be assigned to, some people thought in the event we did last night, some people thought, well, will our club be assigned together? Will our district be assigned? No, the idea of a host organizing event is to mix people from around the world. So you're going to have people from all over the world when you go to these host hospitality events. So that's what makes it exciting. Anytime I've gone to them, there isn't enough time to talk. You just meet people and you just want to keep talking.
Absolutely. All right, so we've had a few more questions. It looks like they are being answered. So I wanted to turn it back to you, Bren, to kind of talk about sort of the overall tone of the Rotary International Convention. So on the last day, when all the lights go out, what's that spirit that you really want to just sigh and breathe in and carry? What is your hope for this entire convention, given our world as it is?
Well, thank you for the easy question. I want people to see that with all we're seeing geopolitically across the globe, between Canada and the US, that there is peace between our nations. We enjoy each other, and when we enjoy each other, we argue, we dispute, but there is peace. I saw some comments, Don, in the chat about the 51st state, and I'll be quite blank. And I also saw comments to this. Rotary is a non-political organization. We don't discuss politics. but each individual has an opinion. I mean, you're not involved in Rotary if you're not a community leader of some sort. And there will be those occasions when you're having a dinner or a drink, a coffee. Let those discussions flow. I mean, that's what's going to happen. You can't just say, I can't discuss that. But as an organization, we're apolitical. I would encourage you, and I say this gently as a Canadian, to reduce the rhetoric about the 51st state. It's no longer funny. Just let it go. If you want to support us, that's fine. If not, that's fine. But don't make it an issue that could potentially divide us. We are non-political. So that's what I want the world to see. The world will be watching. I've done some, I've done training with some public relations people on how to speak properly and not aggravate or initiate anything. And I would encourage Rotarians that when you're discussing things, whatever end of the political spectrum you're at, to keep it civil. I urge you to do that. Canadians are getting tired. So
Thank you.
I would urge you to be gentle as
Thank you,
Americans.
Bren. Yeah, we're so looking forward to. I've only traveled through your country and not visited, so I know that I am certainly looking forward to it. And I will ask Director Patrick his hopes and bringing together and providing such an incredible space and such an amazing host site for so many in zones 33, 34 is one of the most diverse zones that exist in Rotary. What is your hope?
Well, let me be sure. Yeah, so I'm sure I was off mute. Yeah, you just said it. I mean, we represent over 25 countries. And there are some other pairs in the US, but we do have more diversity in terms of our cultures and languages and geography than many paired zones do. And this is a great opportunity to see. I mean, I'll get to see friends who are in districts 7,000, 7020, and 7030 in the islands, who I don't get to see as easily as I do those who are in the state. So I'm particularly looking forward to those opportunities. And what Brent said is right. There's so much that unites us as Rotarians. We are united in fellowship, we're united in leadership, we're united in integrity. And I think it's an opportunity to be reminded that those are the things that bring us together, and those are the things that we have in common. And a lot of the other stuff that some who have other motives would amplify our differences to exploit for their own purposes, they're not going to be at this convention. They're not Rotarians. They don't believe in the four-way test. So this is our opportunity to remind ourselves of all that we have in common and all that brings us together as Rotarians and Rotaractors.
I can think of no better way to end. The third in our webinar series, we will send out the recording of this. Thank you to, again, our Sean Patty, who is the master behind the scenes and who curates and turn these videos into events that live and that you can revisit, share with your clubs, pass along to friends who were not able to make it tonight. But thank you so much for taking your time to be here and to add. And again, thank you to Brian and to Mark and Patrick and Lloyd and my partner in this, Renee. We have enjoyed supporting the zones and helping everybody get to Calgary. Good night, everybody.